So I'm going to invite you into a meditation where we will be welcoming in the stranger within, and then we'll also be extending our compassion out into the world. So I invite you to take some nice, slow, deep breaths and to begin to arrive to yourself. And notice how your body is today, finding some ease and softening in any way that you can, whether it's shifting or stretching or breathing into places of tightness, just creating a space of welcome and compassion for your body. And then letting your awareness drop down into your heart, into that sanctuary of the heart. And in that place, meeting the divine spark that dwells in you. And knowing that in this place of the cave of the heart, there is nothing that you need to do. You simply get to be as you are. Nothing needs to change. And the divine holds you in this place. And so from this heart-centered place, and breathing in this connection to the infinite source of compassion that dwells in you, ask yourself, who are the visitors knocking on the door of my heart today? Maybe you've been feeling anxiety or fear, sorrow, or rage, maybe joy or excitement, maybe ambivalence or longing. Just to take a moment to notice for yourself, what are those feeling states within you? And there may be more than one. We often do feel multiple things at once and often try to kind of squelch one of the feelings in favor of another. Just trying to be present to what is actually true for you right now. And then seeing if you can extend this heart of compassion to whatever that feeling is within you. So not rushing to change how you feel, not rushing to feel any differently, to shut things down, but just letting that feeling have space in you, to breathe in you. And often what happens when we allow a feeling to move through as opposed to resisting it is that it has its wave within us and then it recedes again. So bringing fullness of compassion to all the parts of yourself. And then another nice breath, deep breath, and widening your inner gaze of compassion to include all of your family members, your close friends, your companion animals, and perhaps members of your spiritual community, if there's some who you hold quite dear, who feel like soul friends to you. So all these dearly loved ones, all these beloveds, to hold them in this heart of compassion, to look upon them with love, to invite in any healing that might be needed. And then widening your gaze to bring compassion to the neighborhood where you live. And thinking about how your community supports you in all the small and large ways. So you might, in your mind's eye, hold the people who work at the grocery store, at the post office, at the gas station, or any other place like that, which is really essential to your well-being, but perhaps we often just take for granted in the daily routine of our lives. And bringing your awareness to those people, to their presence in the world, and bringing love and compassion to them, especially those who are required to continue working and put themselves at risk to be able to offer these important services, to offer compassion for them and for their families and how they might be struggling. And then widening your gaze again, and this time taking in the country where you live and thinking about all the people that you share this place with, this land with, and the leaders, the political leaders who are making important decisions really of life and death, and to bring compassion to them, regardless of how you feel about the effectiveness of what they're doing. You are certainly allowed anger at that, or frustration, or whatever that feeling might be as well. But to see if you might just bring compassion to them as human beings who are limited and fallible, who have their own woundedness that guides their actions. And so just holding them in that circle of compassion and love. And then widening your gaze again, this time to the global community of people on Earth, and seeing all of the variety of cultures and traditions all over this globe, all the ways that people are struggling to live lives of meaning and purpose, all the ways people are struggling to understand this pandemic and what is happening in their lives, and bringing compassion for them and for any suffering and sorrow that might be experienced, and blessing them. And then widening your gaze again to include the whole matrix of creation across this living earth, all of the creatures, the animals, the plants, the stones, the rivers, the seas, all of these that Teilhard de Chardin described as the breathing together of all things. And sending compassion out to all the suffering that may be happening across the earth. And offering blessings for whatever is needed for vitality. And then I invite you to slightly shift your perspective. We're going to continue to widen, but instead of across space, invite you to widen across time and becoming aware of your ancestors. All those who have walked the earth before you, whose blood beats within your veins. And sending compassion for all the ways your ancestors have struggled to survive, to make meaning, to love, to find joy, to grieve. For all the ancestors who have endured wars and plagues and pandemics, and to know that you carry forth their courage, their strength, their resilience within your very bones. And sending compassion for any wounding that they have experienced that has been carried down through the generations, holding it in love. And beholding this whole circle across space and time of all of these people and creatures and plants and wildness and ancestors, and to know that this work of healing is not the work that you have to do. It is the work of Spirit, of the divine. That you show up for prayer, you show up to bring compassion to yourself and to others. But you can allow a greater presence to do that work. And then just a few more nice deep breaths and beginning to return your attention back to yourself and back to your own body, and just noticing how your body is feeling right now. Notice if it wants to take a particular shape, a gesture, and letting your body lead that prayer. Your mind doesn't have to figure this out. What shape or gesture or movement does your body want to take as a way of expressing prayer or embodying what you've been noticing and listening to in this time of prayer? I'm just holding that for a moment. And then just coming to a resting space. And very gently bringing your awareness back to the room that you're in, letting your breath carry you across the threshold from inner to outer. And then I'll close with this poem by Naomi Shihab. She's one of my favorite poets, and so this is Kindness. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride thinking the bus will never stop, the passengers eating maize and chicken will stare at the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it, till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend.